Jessica lived a quiet life with her husband, Dabo, and she had grown used to the way their days passed. Every morning, she woke early to prepare breakfast and make sure the house was ready for him before he left for work, pausing for a short prayer before he stepped out the door. Dabo would smile at her, and she would watch him leave, feeling calm about the day ahead. Jessica worked from home, which allowed her to manage the household and take care of herself, and she followed the routine without complaint. Even when small changes appeared, like Dabo staying late at the office or spending more time on his phone, she accepted them as part of life, believing that trust was the foundation of their marriage and that patience could solve most problems. Dabo was charming in a way that made people notice him without effort. He spoke with confidence and often explained his work in terms that sounded complicated, although Jessica rarely understood the details. She listened attentively, always in admiration. Even when he came home late due to unexpected meetings, Jessica would make him a warm meal without complaint. She never questioned his lateness or checked his phone, thinking that love meant letting someone live freely while still sharing a life together. One morning, she noticed a scent on his shirt that was unfamiliar, and she asked him about it, more out of curiosity than suspicion. He laughed lightly, brushed it off as something from a car ride, and kissed her before leaving. Jessica accepted his explanation and returned to her day, feeling once again that the calm she relied on had not been disturbed. Unbeknownst to her, there were secrets hidden in the corners of their marriage, and even as she prayed and carried on with her routine, the truth was slowly making its way toward her, ready to disrupt the peace she had so carefully preserved. Jessica's routine continued for months, and nothing seemed to disturb the calm she relied on. Then one afternoon, she received a message on her phone that would change everything. She was in the kitchen preparing lunch when her phone buzzed. She wiped her hands, expecting it to be a routine message from her mother or a work notification. Instead, it was a direct message on Instagram from a woman she had never met. The woman introduced herself as Sharon and explained that she had recently started seeing Jessica's husband, Dabo. Sharon wrote that she did not know he was married and asked if they could talk. Jessica read the message twice, unable to fully process the words. She set the phone down and walked into the living room, unsure what to think. For a moment, she considered ignoring it, telling herself it might be a prank or a mistake. But she could not push the thought away. Sharon had discovered Dabo's marriage through a video on social media. It was a clip of Jessica smiling and laughing as they shared ordinary moments from their life together. Sharon realized that the man she thought she knew was already married. Jessica did not respond immediately. Instead, she took a moment to think. She remembered the small changes she had noticed over the past months, and suddenly, everything clicked together. Without a word, she typed a reply, "Yes. Let's talk." Jessica agreed to meet Sharon at a small cafe on the outskirts of town. She arrived first, choosing a table tucked away in the corner, where she could watch the entrance. She waited quietly, wondering what this meeting would bring. After a few minutes, a woman walked in, and Jessica immediately noticed her. Sharon moved with confidence, her eyes sharp, suggesting she was not easily intimidated. She carried herself deliberately, scanning the room as if taking everything in at once. When Sharon saw Jessica, she hesitated for a moment before offering a small, cautious smile and walking toward the table. Jessica stood to greet her and nodded, keeping her own expression calm, though her heart was racing. Sharon began to explain how she had met Dabo, how he had presented himself as single, and how she had only recently discovered the truth. Jessica listened quietly, her attention drawn to the mix of frustration and hurt in Sharon's voice. It was clear, Sharon was in love with him, just as Jessica still was. Slowly, Sharon opened her phone and began to scroll, revealing images that made Jessica's stomach twist with unease. There were snapshots from dinners, selfies in hotel rooms, and videos of Dabo laughing with Sharon. Moments that Jessica realized should have been theirs, moments she might once have shared with him herself. Jessica's stomach tightened as she looked at each image. She stared silently at the phone, refusing to speak. Part of her wanted to believe it was all a mistake, that the pictures could somehow be explained, that Dabo could not be capable of such betrayal. But the evidence was undeniable. When Sharon finished showing the evidence, she looked up, waiting for Jessica's reaction. But Jessica could not speak. Her hands trembled, and her mind raced, struggling, and failing, to process what she had just seen. Not in a million years would she have imagined this could happen to her, of all people. She had been a good wife, patient, loyal, supporting Dabo in every way she could. She had trusted him completely, believed in him without question. And yet, Here was the undeniable proof that he had been deceiving her all along. Finally she whispered barely audibly, "I just can't believe this." Sharon's voice was gentle. "I know this is hard to see, Jessica. I wouldn't have reached out if I didn't think you should know. And maybe we could do something about it together. We could make him face what he's done." Jessica shook her head, leaning back in her chair. The thought of acting against him felt unbearable. She felt numb, wanting nothing more than to push it all away. "No," she said softly, almost to herself. "I don't want to. I need time. I'm not ready to think about that." Sharon nodded slowly, masking any disappointment. "I understand," she said. "I just wanted you to know what's happening. If you ever change your mind, I'm here." Jessica nodded quietly, and the meeting ended. She stared out the window, trying to distance herself from the reality she did not want to face, her mind spinning yet refusing to take it all in. That night, when Dabo returned home as usual, Jessica tried to act normally. She went through the motions of dinner and small talk, keeping her thoughts tightly to herself. Later, when they were in the bedroom, she finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. "Dabo, are you seeing anyone besides me?" Dabo hesitated, his smile faltering for just a moment. "What?" "No," he said quickly. "Why would you ask that?" Jessica's tone remained steady. "I just saw something on TikTok about a trend. People checking if their partners are honest. That's all." He leaned closer, brushing her hair back and whispering, "You're the only one for me. I don't know why you would even think that. You are everything I've ever wanted." But instead of feeling reassured, Jessica felt her stomach twist. The words that had once made her feel safe now sounded hollow and false. In that moment, she realized just how easily he could lie, how comfortable he was with deceit. Once Dabo fell asleep, Jessica picked up her phone and typed a single message to Sharon, "I'm in. Let's do this." She pressed send, her hand steady, her mind finally focused. From that moment, she knew she would no longer be a passive observer of Dabo's lies. Jessica and Sharon had spent the week planning every detail with care. They had agreed on the moment, the place, and the steps that would finally force Dabo to confront the truth. And now the day had come, his birthday. Dabo woke up that morning feeling confident, completely unaware of what was waiting for him. Jessica was already in the kitchen, as she always was on his birthday, preparing breakfast and placing his gift neatly on the table. When he walked in, she smiled, handing him the present. He unwrapped it to find a watch he had mentioned weeks earlier. He thanked her, ate breakfast, kissed her cheek, and left for work. Nothing seemed unusual. The routine had followed the same pattern every year: breakfast, a gift, a kiss, and off he went. At the office, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Sharon. She wished him a happy birthday and mentioned she had planned a surprise for that evening. Along with the address of a hotel, she asked him to meet her there after work. Dabo smiled, assuming it would be a private celebration, just the two of them. After work, he arrived at the hotel. Sharon opened the door, covering his eyes with a tie, and told him it was part of the surprise. He allowed her to guide him into the room, curiosity and anticipation building with every step. She led him to the bed, cuffed his hands, and leaned close, pressing her lips gently to his cheek. Then she kissed him again, softer this time. Dabo's mind raced with anticipation, not knowing what to expect next. Suddenly, he felt another set of lips on his other cheek. He froze and asked, "Who's there?" The voice of Sharon came first, teasing softly, "Guess." Before he could respond, another voice, calm and controlled, spoke clearly, "Your daring wife, dear." Dabo's heart skipped. He was shocked. He had no idea Jessica had been there all along. In the next moments, they stripped him down to his underwear, and though he tried to resist, they were stronger and quicker than he expected. His wallet, phone, and car keys were taken from him, leaving him completely powerless. Jessica looked at him, her voice angry and proud. "I loved you with all my being, and you betrayed me. This is what happens when you mess with us." Dabo finally got home very late that night. The hotel staff had eventually heard his calls for help and had released him, but by then he was already exhausted and shaken. When he opened the door, the house was empty. On the dining table, neatly placed, were divorce papers. He grabbed his phone and called Jessica repeatedly, panic rising with each unanswered ring. Finally, she picked up. Her voice was completely devoid of the warmth he was used to. "It's over, Dabo," she said simply. "You've been deceiving me for years. I'm done." He tried to speak, to explain, to apologize, but nothing he said made a difference. The finality in her tone left him speechless. The next day, Dabo went to work, hoping that burying himself in tasks would help him forget the events of the night before. But as soon as he stepped into the office, he felt the weight of everyone's attention. Jessica had sent the hotel pictures directly to his workplace, and the news spread quickly. It wasn't long before management called him into the boss's office. The scandal had reached social media and was already affecting the company's reputation. In a matter of hours, everything he had tried to hide was exposed and he was left humiliated. Meanwhile, Jessica and Sharon found comfort in each other. Once both in love with the same man, they shared their pain and slowly built a friendship. From the heartbreak Dabo caused, they found strength and moved forward together.